Hello and welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. I'm James Preston, and in this edition I'll be shining the spotlight on MyTouch Creative, a company that provides interactive technology for creating extraordinary marketing experiences. They help businesses produce purposeful, custom touchscreen solutions to help engage their target audience. Chris Lamb is the founder of the project leader of MyTouch Creative, and with over 3 decades worth of rich experience in the exhibition industry, Chris knows what's essential in creating a memorable customer experience. And it's now time to find out exactly how that does work. Chris, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Well, Chris, great to have you here with us. Now, one thing I've noticed, certainly in the last 10 years or so with social media becoming such a huge thing, is that storytelling through digital media seems to be becoming a way that is essentially the preferred way to engage customers. You see it on Instagram all the time, or even potentially TikTok creators. Where do you see the place of engaging consumers in terms of a digital world? Is it predominantly through those video channels?
There'll always be a place for those video channels, but it's about getting people away from their gadgets and into a different environment where they can continue an interaction in other ways. For example, in retail, it isn't just a case of walking into a store and seeing what's available. It's about the retailer providing ways that the visitor can interact with the brand to learn more. The retailer can see what they're interested in, how long they spend in the store, and from there. It's just an extra way that some businesses can interact with their target market.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I suppose so often we focus on the interaction being, whether it's a like or a share or a comment or a subscribe kind of thing. But realistically, as you've said there, it goes beyond simply interfacing with your phone. So let's break it down exactly. What then is interactive technology and what are the benefits it presents?
It's a very difficult question to answer because it really depends upon the market segment, who they're, what they're talking to. In a nutshell, it's really just about creating opportunities for people to let their guard down using technology and interacting with a company in a variety of ways. It could be via a touchscreen, it could be by looking at digital signage, it could be all sorts of things. But the aim is for the relationship to be stronger with the area that they're interacting, with a view to the company concerned getting more business and getting more business.
Now, how innovative are some of these creations and installations that you're doing? Because I like to look at things such as Sydney's Vivid Festival, for example, which has a lot of these sort of interactive displays that people can walk up to, they can touch, they'll change colours, or maybe the lighting will change, or some sort of crazy thing happens. Do you do those kind of creative inputs as well?
We can, but we prefer to have them more focused. So it's looking to achieve a particular aim. Yes, there's definitely a place for playing, as I call it. But the playing wants to have a specific target in mind. For example, if you walked into a retail store and you were looking at runners, you might pick up a runner, and then on the screen in front of you would come up details about that particular shoe. If you picked up another one, then it can throw up information about the other shoe in the same format, so they're right next to each other, so you can compare them. Number of kilometers done a week, weight, problems you may have, this sort of thing can be done. So it's just about, it's becoming much more expensive for people to have staff members to answer every question, to really spend time in the shop. So that's a cost the technology can do. But it's also about creating the experience so the visitor is warm and fuzzy. And that's just one example. There are countless showing how you can create that sort of thing.
Well, let's touch on that now. What are the type of touchscreen solutions that you provide at MyTouch Creative? We are often asked to send a summary through of what we can do, and it's impossible. I mean, I could yap for an hour about it, and I wouldn't even touch the edges. The best way to do it is I'll go into a bit more detail in a second, but the best way to approach it is to have a chin wag, work out what the problem is, what you want to achieve, or even if you're not aware of there's a problem, just have a chat about it, and then we can suggest ways that it can be improved.
But it can be a touch screen, it can be a touch wall, it can be digital signage, and when somebody walks towards it, it recognises the age, the demographic, the mood of the person, for example. And if they're young, wearing a beanie, they'll throw up videos or information relative to that demographic. If the person doesn't pay much attention and looks on and walks on, it'll revert to something else to attract something of a more general nature for the next person moving on. And all of these analytics can be retained. If you walk into a wine store, it might say, "Hey, what are you having for dinner? Would you like us to recommend a wine that relates to that? Is it chicken? How are you cooking it? What herbs are you thinking of putting with it? Okay, this wine would be good to go with that." Even down to if you're looking to purchase a pair of glasses, you can walk up to a mirror, try them on, but equally you could have a virtual screen where you're able to just tap a button and have the glasses appear on your face, so you don't have to have every single pair of glasses in an enormous display, and somebody can see it actually on their face much more quickly. And those are just a smattering. There's a whole heap of things you can do with this stuff.
Well, Chris, I must say, between the glasses and also the wine connoisseur, it actually sounds like it's a more cultured thing than myself. So it's pretty incredible technology that you're working with. But look, creating a brand story and conveying it to the target audience, it's of the absolute utmost importance for any organisation looking to experience growth. So being an expert in the field, what are some of the ways that you can suggest that a digital marketing firm, or any company for that matter, might be able to achieve maximum growth, whether through touchscreens or any kind of installation?
Work out what you want to achieve, work out what the aim is. It comes back to the basics. Work out what you want to achieve and measure it, and continue to work out how to improve what you're measuring. It's the old story. If you've got digital, if you're not measuring, you can't improve it. So you need to break it right back to be able to get a return on investment, an actual quantifiable figure, so that you can see how it improves over time. And this is in a lot of areas difficult to do, but with touch, particularly if somebody puts their data in because they're requesting some information, perhaps they're visiting somewhere where they want to ask about a particular piece of equipment to assist them in their business, then they might put in their information, and that can go into a CRM. You can continue to track that person to see whether he placed an order, what websites he went to. You can put a score on his experience, and you can start to build a picture of what aspects of your marketing are working and what aspects aren't. So that the bottom line is, it has to pay, it has to generate income, it has to generate profit, and you have to measure it.
Now we're having an exclusive chat on Executive Corner Expert Talks with Chris Lamb, the founder of My Touch Creative. And Chris, one thing we have certainly mentioned a lot so far in the interview is the word touch. And I just wonder, over the past 18 months with COVID obviously coming around and so much talk about social distancing and what are we touching and what's our hygiene like, has that presented a unique sort of challenges for a business such as yours, which is quite specifically related to touch interactivity?
Yes, it has, and it's a very good question. There are a variety of touchless solutions available, but they're very difficult to actually do because you've got to wave your hand in front of the screen and try to avoid touching it, and so it's not as intuitive. The advantage of touch is we're all very used to it, and it's a very simple matter to have a hand sanitizer next to the touch screen to wipe your hands, to wash your hands when you're done, and for the retailer or wherever the screen is to sanitize it on a regular basis. That this is an area that there'll be growth in, but to understand the commands, to actually learn them, it is extremely difficult. You can even do it with your eyes. If you look at a particular position on the screen, then the computer will tell you what to do. But it takes a bit of getting used to. You've got to focus on the individual part for a brief second, and while the research has shown that while touch has issues, it is still going to remain a big part of the world.
Well, I wonder if we can just delve a little bit deeper into that point as well, because I mean, obviously one of the big things for any person interacting with any brand is how does it make them feel? And when we talk about certain sensors, obviously touch is one of those. So if we're moving to, I suppose, a society where everything is, waving your hand in front of it, it's not actually physically touching the button, have you got any sort of feedback you've received from companies or data that you're working with that is suggesting that potentially also presents a slight problem where they can't physically be touching these things and feeling that connection?
No, well, it's a bit early to be sure of that, but my gut is telling me that the people are used to it, and if they can, as long as they can get their hands clean and so forth, they're not terribly concerned. But it is very early in the piece. I know this has been going on for over a year, but it's there's no definitive research being done on it. There have been a lot of developments and alternatives, and I've had a play with them, and I struggle with them, and I've so it's there's also but it isn't just about the sensors, because in terms of touch, you can hear, you can talk to them, you can do there will be a lot more growth in this sort of thing moving forward. I mean, we all know Siri and Cortana, but very few of us will actually ask it to read an email when we're driving. But we know we can do it, but very few of us do it. So it's going to take a long time before touch is replaced.
Yeah, well said. Now let's veer back onto My Touch Creative itself. How do you guys help to engage a company to its target audience? I know we've sort of touched on this a little bit in terms of often you'll create very specific sort of creations for each company, but is that something where they're typically coming to you? Are you coming to them? Is it beyond the think tank? What exactly do you lay out in front of potential clients and say, this is how we think we can help?
The process begins with either them contacting us or we putting stuff out in the marketplace saying, hey, would you like to find out more about it? And then it comes down to having a discussion. And from the discussion, something may become that they may have an idea, we may have an idea, and it develops. Because, for example, if we're in conversation with an IDS company who work in the disabled area, and people, when they are unfortunate enough to be in this situation, have a wide range of needs. They have to address all manner of things within the home. So it can be an opportunity to sit down and work out what they need, from wheelchairs to modifying showers to widening doorways. And there's a lot of materials that can be used. So you can use the solution to create a shortlist of what you might need, and then work with the company to develop that shortlist and resulting in a purchase. And this can be done within a touch solution, because you can look at the various models of wheelchairs, the benefits of them. Do you want one that is controlled by a variety of means? So with filters, you can greatly speed up the process of determining what's best for a particular person. But that's just one use. And all the way through this, you can be pulling analytics about what somebody's looking at, how long, where they went, how long they were doing it, so that you can. I mean, data is king, as we all know. Data is the secret to the longevity to the future of everything digital.
Well, Chris, it's been a really fascinating chat. Just before I let you go, from your own experiences working with so many different industries to implement the things that you're doing, which industry do you think is leading that headway in terms of digital technology for marketing and businesses? Is it coming from the construction industry, the retail industry? Who are you typically working with the most?
We're not working with, retail has the biggest potential, because it's a difficult area. That retailers are looking for a way to get more loyalty, to get people back into the stores. So they're having to make things more theatrical, having to make the visit more of an experience. And with digital in a variety of ways, you can certainly achieve that. Even from outside, when people are walking towards the store, they can look at who you are and throw something up that may be of interest to you. So when you get in the store, they can track where you went within the store. They can throw up lift and learn if you're looking at a particular product. If you're looking to try on clothes without trying on clothes, you can have a virtual mirror where you can it can assess you size-wise, and then you can choose various outfits. It really is retail that has the greatest potential to be the future, to be interacting with, and it also gives you a very, very short response time, because you can see the difference to the bottom line on a weekly basis as and when you're making changes.
Yeah, wow. It's an incredible time to be live, that's for sure. But Chris, thank you so much for your time. Really interesting chat, and best of luck for the future as well.
Thank you very much for yours. Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, that's Chris Lamb, founder and project leader of MyTouch Creative. And you missed any part of that chat, simply head across to our YouTube channel, 𝐊𝐶𝐥 Media, where you can access our entire catalogue as well. I'm James Preston for 𝐊𝐶𝐥.